Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I show you the mistakes in my games, hoping you don't make the same ones in yours. Alright, today's video takes place immediately after the last one, where I got a very bad result in the bottom, and it's aimed particularly at Q players. The problem itself is down level, and they may want to check out the answer, but a lot of the explanation is somewhat basic. Okay. So this is where the last video ended up. I just lived small and I was completely enclosed and it was a bad life. And I said that white could continue here and attack this group. But white didn't, and instead white played here, trying to build the right-hand side. And of course I need a base, so I played this. This stone is actually better placed on the fourth line, given that A is also on the third line. Black doesn't want to get pushed down too much, especially when white's building this influence style opening. Alright, so this move isn't the best, but far from game losing. And then white played over here, and this is the game problem. If you were black, where would you play next, and why? I'll give a hint in that the lower right is a priority. Okay, pause if you want. I'll be here when you get back. All right, first, before I explain what I did, let me explain why. And to do that, I'm going to show you another formation. And that's this. And so we're taught as white, when we see this sort of shape for black, to invade the 3-3. And the reason for it is one of those black stones is going to end up inefficient. And in a previous video I said, hey, all you Q players, you really need to know the variations from this. And because the main subject of this video itself is pretty quick, I thought I would run through some of these variations right now, just in case you don't know them, because I really do think it's important that you do. All right, so as white, when you see this sort of formation, it's often a good idea to jump right into the corner. Now, don't get me wrong, you can go ahead and play from the outside if you like, and you're not going to die. But, you know, as you play all of these stones, you're not gaining much in territory, and all of black stones are working efficiently. So this stone and this stone are actually both in good places. So this is appropriate. It may be playable in some cases, but it's not the easiest way for white. And that's why it's often best to jump right into the corner. So number one, this is going to gain territory. Number two, black doesn't have a way to effectively kill it or punish it. And number three, one of black's stones are going to end up inefficiently placed. So let's run through the examples and see what I mean. It doesn't, especially for the sake of this, doesn't matter which way black blocks because these stones are equally far apart. So white's going to play here, and all the variations that we'll show today assume a black hane here. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the basic one. Right? This is the basic 3-3 invasion, probably one of the first joseki we all learned. And when I was a Q player, I thought, this isn't bad. I don't understand why this is considered bad for black. This is joseki. And indeed, without this stone here, it is joseki. And if done at the very first part of the game, it might even be a favorable joseki for black. But my question is, if this black stone wasn't here, where would you play if you were black? And the answer is probably anywhere but here. This stone isn't really doing anything for black. If black wants to develop the right side, this stone would be better off as a turning move right here. And if black wanted to develop the top, instead of here, black would play over here. But there's no way in the world that at this point black would play here. So this stone is not ideally placed. And in other words, it's inefficient. And Go is really about efficiency. And that's why this is considered a reasonable result for white. Okay, so of course black has other options. Black can play the double hane. And this is the beginning of the variations that you really need to know as a Q player. All right. The most basic response and most common response is like this, where white captures this black stone, and then black says, fine, I'll take the corner. So, yep, black got the corner, and this stone is positioned well from it, but this stone is now somewhat awkwardly placed, and is probably not where black would choose to play right now, given his choice of moves. And I'm not going to go through, at least in this video, all the variations from this. Just one thing to know is that there's aji if white extends. So a move like this, or a move around here, is going to be sente for white. Be aware of this if you play this as black. All right. So this is another joseki, but it's totally reasonable for white because black's right side potential is gone. Okay, but black doesn't have to play this. Black can also play this. All right. As white, you want to pick up at this point, and when black pushes, you want to connect. Black has the option of tenuking right now, but with this stone here, I would go ahead and extend. And then we're left with the same problem as the basic joseki of, as this joseki ends, is this where you as black would want a stone? I mean, if you could pick it up and move it, would you? And the answer is, of course you would. You wouldn't want the stone here. You'd want to turn, or you'd want to play over here, or somewhere else. So this is still inefficient for black and a good result for white. Okay. Another common situation, which you do need to know, is if white hanes here. Black will block, and then white will cut. And be careful, if you're black in this situation, not to capture that single stone, because white will go ahead and Atari right back. And after black picks it up, white will play here, and you can see that this is a complete disaster for black. The right side's getting destroyed, white's in great shape, this stone looks silly. This is a really poor result for black. So you can't capture that stone. So black has to play a different way. And that will start with this move here, threatening to capture this stone. And white will then go ahead and take the corner. Now the problem for black is he's got this defect here, and white's gained liberties over here. So if white cuts this stone, let me show you. Say black tenukis and white cuts this stone. This move no longer works for black, the counter cut, because white has too many liberties. So that's the defect that's now in black's shape. So of course black wants to defend it. But when he defends it, white can move out. And you see that it's a tricky situation for black. And maybe even arguably for both sides. So black needs to crawl. And you can see that black needs to keep crawling to gain liberties. This only has 4 liberties. But if black can do well, if black can keep gaining liberties, he's going to get enough to kill the corner. But this still isn't enough liberties, still not enough liberties. But now, for all you killers out there, maybe you can see that the 6 liberties that black has is enough, and black can go ahead and kill the corner. White will tell black to pick up, and then white can turn here, which is a forcing move. And black needs to finish the job and kill the corner. And what do you think of this result? Black's got territory all the way from here, owns the corner, and is thick outside. So my instinct when I look at this is to think, hey, this isn't a bad result for black. But the professional view of this position is that this is good for white. And let me explain why, or at least why I think is why. Is in this case, the 3-3 invasion is treated almost like a probe. It's asking black, where do you want to play? It recognizes that black had strength in the area. Black started with 3 stones, and black played an all-out, I'm going to kill the corner strategy. And because of that, white was able to get a lot of forcing moves out of the probe. And if you think about it, then this move is a forcing move, this move is a forcing move, this move was a forcing move, and all the time, black is being forced to crawl along the second line. And then even this turn was a forcing move. So, yep, black got the corner. but that's okay. Black started with more stones. But what white got was thickness towards the center of the board and the upper left. And considering black started with more stones, this is a perfectly good result. And when you want to speak of inefficiency, how does this stone look? Remember, this is one of black's first stones. And now it looks like a tennis ball stuck in the net. It's doing black no good and probably won't for the rest of the game. All right. So one thing to note is that this variation worked for white because this black stone is on the fourth line. And if it had been on the third line, you could see that black would then be honeying his way up, and it would be white who's in deep trouble. So as white, don't play this variation unless that stone's on the fourth line or not there at all. But for black, when this stone is on the fourth line, black doesn't have time to play this. So we'd need to capture right here, and then white would get these moves, and you can see it's a good result for white, and this black stone isn't terribly happy. Okay, so I hope you can see what I'm talking about with the efficiency of stones and why every single variation that I showed, one of these two stones was not optimally placed. And that's what makes the 3-3 invasion a pretty good move when you've got the two long extensions for black. Incidentally, that's why it's considered standard form that if you already have a long extension, to play a short extension with the next move, because that means the 3-3 invasion can't exploit that inefficiency weakness nearly as well. Oh, I missed one. I missed an important variation, so I'm adding it in after. Okay, let's recreate that last board situation. When white cuts here, black actually has another option, and this is a very common joseki, and that's to play here and protect both of these cutting points at once. At this point, white's probably going to take the outside, and black will gain a big corner. So this move is in pretty good shape, and black gets a nice corner, so that's all good, but black has lost the top, and this stone may even come under attack. So it's not ideal for black. Okay, let's see how we can apply this to the actual game problem. So in this board position, I looked at this as being a lot like the example that I just showed. This stone is identically placed to what I just showed, and then I treated this group of stones as if it was this one right here. So I thought it would be ideal to go ahead and jump into the corner. Of course, I thought for about 30 seconds whether I could disrupt the bottom, but I didn't think I could because white was so thick here. That's how I viewed it. When white is so thick, don't play near thickness. Better to just jump in the corner. But it's not ideal here because let's just follow a normal joseki. And you can see that white's thickness is facing each other, and there's a lot of spaces in between, and white's going to get a lot of points here. And it's not the end of the game, it's not the end of the world, but it's certainly letting white get what he wants. So, like I said, it's not tragically wrong, but why is this an interesting problem? Well, it's clear with this move that white wants to, with this move here, that what white is saying is, I want to build a moyo on the bottom, developing halfway up the board. And if I can do that, I'm going to have lots of cash, and it's going to be difficult for you as black to win. And even if you take the corner, I'm okay with that. And when I looked at it, I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much thickness here. I don't want to play near it. And I thought that if I played here, I would just get punished, because white would push me towards the thickness. Then I showed this problem to my teacher this game, and she said, well, that's the difference between, amateur thinking, or at least low down thinking, and professional thinking. Because a professional would look at this white group over here, not as thickness. And the reason it's not thickness is because number one, doesn't have eyes, and number two, it has cutting points. So it may become thickness, but it's not thickness yet. And as a matter of fact, it could even become a target. But because it's not yet thickness, black can go ahead and play the bottom and foil white's plans. Don't give white what white wants. So if black plays here, of course white can do this and continue as normal. And when black makes the regular extension, it's clear that black doesn't have enough room for two eyes yet. Black's not alive. And this is the sort of thing that would make me very nervous. But if white continues with a fearsome attack above, saying, where are you going to live? Black can just play patiently and start to build eye space and is going to be okay. Let's assume that white continues to confine black, saying, no, I'm going to kill you. Then black can start to play moves like this that exploit white's weakness. Now all of a sudden I'm aiming at a cutting point and I'm also taking away potential eye space. That's one thing I'm doing. But a contact move up here also starts to get me out and build additional eye space. So black is going to be fine. And there's really nothing to be too nervous about because this white group isn't yet strong. It's not really thickness. Okay, but can't white play another way? Maybe a move like this would help protect this white group. Well, but thickness shouldn't need helping, right? It should need protection. As white, you want to drive black towards your thickness. And if it's not really thickness, then an attack might be an overplay. And black is just perfectly happy to run away. Again, white was hoping to get a zillion points here on the bottom, but now black is black is going to be fine. Black is either going to be able to make eyes or get out, and white isn't going to gain all that much from the attack. So that's the key difference, and that's sort of the professional approach. As a professional will look at this group A and see its weaknesses, whereas an amateur, or at least me, I looked at that wall and I saw thickness and danger and don't play near it. I'll try to remember this one. Anyway, I hope it was useful, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.